Hello, I'm Vincent Price in Hollywood. A girl in Chicago writes, should I telephone a boy first or must I wait for him to call? And from Seattle, this letter, I'm in junior high. How much makeup should I wear? Well, recently I joined a group of experts in writing a course for the Sears School for Young Charmers. Charm is knowing how to look and act your best at all times. Knowing how to make friends, having good manners, taking pleasure in the arts, acquiring a pleasing voice. First, we're going to New York and the famous Ford Model Agency, where we'll talk with the co-founder and head of the agency, Eileen Ford. Eileen.
Hello, Vincent.
Eileen, I was just saying that every girl can be charming.
Yes, Vincent. And here to help me show how is top cover girl Sarah Tom.
Hello, Vincent.
I think that we might start by dispelling a few false notions, mainly the one that all models are born beautiful. I think that if there's one thing that can turn just a girl into a lovely model, it's determination. Determination to know herself, break her bad habits, and perhaps build new ones.
Yes, I certainly agree. Beauty begins with good health, but it needs careful polishing for perfect results.
When do you think a girl should start wearing makeup, Sarah?
If you're in junior high, I think a pale pink lipstick on special occasions and a light dusting of powder would be quite adequate. But whatever you do, none of that deep orange lipstick or that dreadful purple lipstick. It's terrible.
And in grammar school, I don't think a girl should wear makeup at all. Not a trace. Why, half the models I know, even the very best, are trying to recapture that wonderful 9 to 11-year-old look with their skin or that wonderful youthful sparkle. And what about high school?
Every high school girl likes to experiment with makeup. It's fun. Something to do with the girls. But keep the practicing and the experimenting at home. When the time comes to go to school, keep your makeup very light, very simple, and very natural.
Thank you, Eileen. Now we're going to whisk up to Boston and the Harvard Medical School to talk with Dr. Frederick Stair, an expert on nutrition. Dr. Stair, I hear about diets of hot dogs and pizzas, no breakfast, too many milkshakes. Is all this true?
I don't think it's quite fair to say that all young people live off of hot dogs and pizzas. And anyway, what's wrong with hot dogs and pizzas as long as they are part of a balanced diet? The important thing about having good diet is to have a variety of foods, some fruits and vegetables, some cereals, some dairy products, some meats and fish. Now, pizzas and hot dogs can be a part of a meal, but it shouldn't be the whole meal. And we need good nutrition furnished by a variety of foods to give us healthy skin, lustrous hair, and eyes that sparkle. Incidentally, for the youngster who tends to be a little on the plump or overweight side, some interesting researches of Harvard's Department of Nutrition have shown that this is much more likely to be due to lack of physical activity than really eating too much food. We can't stress enough the importance of getting some exercise, of using those muscles. Walking, running, swimming, tennis, volleyball, jitterbugging, any way to use up those extra calories. Now for the youngster who tends to be a little on the slender side, the job is somewhat the opposite. Here we cut down a little bit on activity, and there is an important distinction between the timing of extra amounts of foods or snacks. For the thin person, the time to take extra food is shortly after a meal. And for the plump person, the time to take a little snack is shortly before the meal to cut down on the desire for more food, to cut down on appetite. But as I've said before, variety in food consumption is the real keystone to good nutrition. And good nutrition is important for good health, good skin, lustrous hair, and eyes that really sparkle.
Thank you, Dr. Stair. A highlight of the 1960 Olympic Games was a triple win by a young distance runner named Wilma Rudolph. She won the 100 meters, 200 meters, and was anchor on the U.S. 400-meter team. Let's take a look as Wilma wins the 200-meter race. We're going to visit now in Evansville, Indiana, with Wilma Rudolph, who incidentally was voted U.S. Amateur Athlete of the Year in 1962.
As you can see, Vince, I'm still doing Olympic exercises here at Carver Community Center. I'm not planning to enter any more competition, but as a busy mother with 3 lively children, it's just as important for me to keep physically fit today as it ever was. This is an Olympic exercise that I recommend to all young people because it tightens and tones all the muscles and it builds good body rhythm and stamina. The windmill is another good exercise. For a girl, it has the advantages of building a firm, useful bust line and a trim, flat abdomen. Of course, every young girl should choose particular exercises that would help her figure. But the average young person can build her body into a smooth, strong, graceful network of muscles by devoting 10 minutes a day to exercises. It's the few minutes a day that does the trick.
Thank you, Wilma, and best wishes for the future. Now let's board our magic carpet, and our next stop is Chicago. We'll visit with Letitia Baldridge, formerly Social Secretary to the White House, author, and currently a Public Relations Counsel.
Hello, Vincent. It's nice to stop in the middle of a busy day and have a chat with you. You know, I think manners are the most important part of a young girl's attractiveness, and I think the boys agree with me, too. And what are manners? Manners are just being thoughtful and considerate of others, thinking of others first, being quiet and pleasant around the house, helping your family out, being nice on the telephone, saying thank you in a pretty way. It's being thoughtful, and finally it becomes automatic. You mentioned, Vincent, about whether girls should call boys first. Well, I don't think they should. Having grown up with older brothers and having seen the way they reacted when girls called them, I think it's better for a girl to wait for a boy to call her. Of course she's got to call him to invite him to a party or a dance, but otherwise she'll be more respected by the boys if she waits for them to call first. And another thing, when a young man takes a girl out, he deserves to be thanked. Boys like to be thanked. And thank yous come in many ways, verbally or written. One should always write a thank you note to somebody's mother when you've been at her house for dinner, or when you spend the night. Write a thank you note. Thank yous are very important, and it's all a part of this basic thoughtfulness and consideration for others. That's what manners are.
Thank you so much, Tish, and you're so very right. Which brings us to one thing that I'd like to add. My part in this program has to do with the arts, naturally. You know, a truly charming person is a well-rounded person with wide interests. All of the finest things in human history are at our fingertips if we'll only reach out for them. Oh, I don't mean that you should rush out and buy a copy of Plato or memorize the score of Lohengrin, but I do mean that you should have some yardstick for telling the good from the bad. For instance, jazz is good music. The Beatles are popular because they are the best performers of their kind, and so was Toscanini. In the visual arts, painting and sculpture, it's important to collect, to buy what you like. But the more you know about art, the more you'll like it, and the more taste you'll have in it and for it. So sample all that is best in music and the arts. Don't lose your appreciation by closing your mind to all but one thing. Remember, variety is the spice of life. Well, it's been wonderful being with you today, and I hope that each and every one of you will be a young charmer.